Hey everybody, and welcome to TekFlow for Construction, brought to you by Zentek Consultants. TekFlow for Construction is a recurring videocast where we talk about the best tech practices and procedures that we've been implementing for Zentek clients, ones that we think everybody should be looking to include in their own workflows. I am Jim Coppinger, a principal at Zentek Consultants, and today I want to talk to you guys about inviting users to your job. So what do we mean when we talk about inviting users to your job? One of the things that I see people run up against all the time that they're a little worried about is, making sure that, when you're implementing, the ERP and the construction management and cloud-based solutions that we've been talking about in this videocast series, how do I get the right people? How do I notify them? How do I let them know that, all the things we've discussed in this series, right? I've given them permissions, I've given them, what they can and can't do, and now I need them to work on my job. How do I let them know? How do I make sure that the right people are being included in the project? Well, the great thing is that for most of these systems, it's almost an automated process to a certain extent. You do have some control, which I do like, to not send the invitations or to bring people into the job until after you've set all of their permissions in most of these systems. And that's kind of what I want to take you guys through today. We're going to focus on the big three. We're going to talk about Bluebeam Studio. We're going to talk about Procore and Autodesk Construction Cloud, and how you guys can invite users to your projects using these three systems. So I'm going to start off with Bluebeam Studio. And Bluebeam Studio is real nice. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to open up a project. Remember, everything we're talking about here today is at the project level. I'm stressing the word project. This isn't up at the corporate administrative level where you've added all the users who work for you. This is about bringing the individual subcontractors and designers and engineers and owners and other stakeholders into this particular job. So when I go in and I open up a specific job inside of Bluebeam Studio, what I can do is, we've talked about before the ability to go in and actually, add users. Right? So we go in, we talked about, how we go in, we can add all these different users and bring them in and set their permissions. And I really do recommend that all these things we've talked about in other video casts be done in advance. Before you start bringing people into your job, you want to make sure that you've limited their control. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to invite these 300 people and then try and go put restrictions and permissions on them after, when you can find out by the time that you get there that they've already been in there and done damage in areas that you didn't want them in. All right, so always set the permissions, the settings for people first. Then what's great here is that I can go in and you see right here, I've got this little simple button. It just says invite. Okay, and I have all the emails from the different groups that I've built. I can type and paste emails. I can use my Outlook address book. I can add emails from groups inside of Bluebeam that I've already built, right? We talked about those. Or I can, copy and paste hundreds and hundreds of emails all at once, or I can go to my Outlook address book and just send the message. All right, so what I've done is I've gone in, I've set the users, I've set their controls, I know that they can only do what I want them to do. Now I just go in and pick this one button and I invite them. And then they get an email, they click on the link, it takes them right to this job. They can't get into any other projects, they can't get into any folders or files they're not supposed to. Right? And that's a great concept that gives you a lot of security and control over your jobs. And the good thing here is that it is really the same on all of these major systems, right? So if I go in here, let's go to Procore. If I go into a specific job, and it doesn't really matter, I'll just pick the, I'll go to this Oak Lane job here. We've talked about, how you can go in and you can go to your directory and you can add people on a specific job, right? Once I've listed my job, I can go in and I can go to the directory on a job. And when the directory comes up here, what I want to show you guys is that it's very easy to go in and I can add new users. Right? At any point, I can go ahead and I can just add them. And I put in their information. So let's just put in Sandy Contractor here. All right, we're going to add Sandy. And again, we can set whatever permissions we want. He's going to be an external subcontractor. And I can go ahead and I can add that. Right? I'm just filling out this person. Now, right now, Sandy doesn't have that information. He doesn't know he's been added to my job. He's not set to go. This gives me the opportunity to fill out all the detailed information about him here in Procore. Set any permissions, templates, or overrides that I want. And then down here at the bottom, I get these two options. I can either save it or I can save and invite him all at once. Right? And that's kind of the control level that I want you guys to focus on for today. I tend to go in and use just this save button. This way I can decide after I've set everybody's permissions that I can go in and I can start sending those later on. Right now I'm just going to save and send the invitation. It's kind of a one step, saves you a little bit of money. I personally, or not money, time. What I like to do is hit the save button, because then once it saves and it processes through, right, when I go back to the directory level, up at the top, you see that, this Sandy contractor has been added here, but you see he hasn't been invited yet. So I can go in and add all of the users, all the people that I want, right? My plumber, my electrician, all the guys that I want to work on this job. And then I can go in and I can use this invite button. When I'm done, I can just click on the invite and it'll automatically send him an email with a link to this job. Okay, that's how we can, add individuals or companies, right? We can do the same thing at company levels and send out an email to an entire company. So if you're working with a specific electrician that you work with all the time, and there are 6, project managers over there, you can set up a company with all 6 project managers and invite all 6 of them at once. And we get over to the Autodesk Construction Cloud. We're going to find it's a very, very similar setup. The only thing about the Autodesk Construction Cloud, when we go in here and we add members, again, same thing, right? We'll go in and we'll put, Sandy at, I'm not really worried too much about spelling it. I can set the permissions, right? I can either let the account admin set him at the top level, or I can set him as a group, right? Or I can assign him a specific role. Maybe he's going to be my construction manager. He's just going to be a regular project member. He's not an admin. I do like that I can actually share licenses with him if I need to. But here in the Autodesk Construction Cloud, when you add people, right, as soon as I click the add button, right, it takes a minute, right, to actually add the individual that's uploading it to the cloud, and you just want to kind of hit refresh. But you see that there it is. Sandy's been done. He's automatically invited. Okay, there really is no pause setup. But what you do have here on all of these tools is that if you don't hear from somebody, you don't get a response, it doesn't check out, you can always go back and resend the invitation later on. Okay, or if you say, hey, well, never mind, I don't want to do those, all of these have the ability to go in and remove that member as well, so that they're not actively, messing with your job after they're no longer on the contract, or if you switch to someone else who's handling that particular item. And that's really the key. Right, is going in and it works no matter which of these systems you guys are interested in. Right, we always want to be able to go in, and we always want to be able to make sure we're controlling the individuals or the companies who have access to our projects. And it's always one of those hang up areas where people get a little bit worried, right, about sharing their data in the cloud and using these large integrated systems. It's really not a concern. You've got wonderful tools that'll keep things working exactly the way you want and limiting access, right? And that's how we invite users to our jobs. And we'll see you next time on TekFlow for construction.